Knocked out by the Sixers? The Celtics are a team to watch this offseason. Let's get them back in this edition of The Nest. Hello everybody, welcome back to The Nest RXP. My name is Rob and welcoming you back as we continue to rebuild NBA teams in their offseason. And the Celtics are up now, a team that a lot of teams are keeping their eye on with some of their stars like Derek White, like Jaylen Brown, and Peyton Pritchard and other these guys, because they are looking to make changes because they fell short this season. And you know Brad Stevens is going to be the type to try and get this team back, so they're keeping an eye on them. But before we get into the Celtics, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and make sure you go check out the Instagram and TikTok for more content covering the NBA playoffs if they're still going on by the time this goes out. And if not, checking out just short-form content relating to the offseason. So like I said, the Celtics got knocked out in the first round, which is something that I never thought I'd say, and it's something that broke my heart when I saw it, because I don't want to say I'm a Celtics fan, I'm a Pelicans fan, obviously, but I do enjoy the Celtics. I enjoy Jason Tatum, I enjoy Jaylen Brown. Derek White was one of my favorite role players for the longest time, and obviously Drew Holiday, former Pelican, loved him to death, and now he's obviously on the Blazers. But this team has a lot of questions that I think could not easily be answered, but it's going to be a little tricky to answer because Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum's contracts are not horrendous because of their talent level, but they're so horrendous that they're both making like $50 million or something like that each year. It makes rebuilding this team almost impossible if you don't trade one of them. And I'm not advocating that they trade Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum or anything like that. I didn't do it in this instance, but it makes this team incredibly hard to build depth around. So I didn't make a ton of changes with this team, and we're going to get into that in just a second. The one guy, though, that you can trade and trade relatively easily is Derek White, and that's because I think a lot of teams still value his defense, and he still can be that solid 37% shooter at worst this season. This season he obviously shot like 32% or something like that. It was bad, but I think in a right role he could still shoot 36, 37%, possibly even get back up to that 40%, depending on his volume, but regardless, he's the trade asset that you need to maximize because of his age as well. He's 31 going on to 32 this season. You need to trade him and get a little bit younger. So I drew up a couple options. Obviously, the first option I drew up was with in my Denver Nuggets video, trading him for Christian Braun, Jonas Valanciunas, and Zeke Naji. You get Christian Braun. I'm not a terribly big fan of this for the Celtics. Christian Braun is not bad in this instance. He can be that kind of do everything shooting guard for you, kind of like Derek White does, and he's young, so he can develop into it. But that contract is not very good either, and he's going to be kind of hard to... He's not going to be a key piece for the future, which is why I made some other trades as well to see if it would work. So the first option that I kind of saw was Derek White for Jalen Suggs straight up. I don't think the Magic would do this because they're looking to cut costs, and while I wouldn't mind Jalen Suggs being that starting point guard, shooting guard for the Celtics for the future, I think he fits relatively well. I don't see the Magic doing that because they need to get off of salary, not take on the same salary for an older player, if you get what I'm saying. Plus, Derek White's more of a shooting guard in my eyes, so I don't think they need another shooting guard like Desmond Bane in the starting lineup. The next option I saw was actually with the same team. It was the Miami Heat, and the two options are you can either sign and trade Norman Powell for Derek White and sign him to like a 4-year, $120 million deal if he's looking to get overpaid like that. I don't hate this. I love the idea of getting Norman Powell in this team because I think he fits that beautifully because he just loves to chuck threes, and that's what Brad Stevens, that's what not Ime Udoka, that's the old coach. God, why am I blanking on his name? Joe Mazzulla. That's what Joe Mazzulla likes to preach with his team, just getting those threes up. I think he fits that beautifully, but if you can't get Norman Powell, the more likely option, and this is the option I end up going with, is trading Derek White for Tyler Hero. And you may need to include some picks or some seconds or something like that, but you have the ability to do that, just some draft compensation to flip it 1-for-1. I think this fits both teams very well. Derek White can go to the Heat, and he can be on that team. He can start for Davion Mitchell, or he can come off the bench with Norman Powell, or come off the bench for Norman Powell. Whatever the case may be, that's a perfect fit for that Miami Heat team, who's relatively similar to the Celtics team. The next thing that I saw that I needed to fix for the Celtics team was the center position. Now, obviously, they have Keita, who is, in my eyes, he's kind of like that backup center, but he's still very good. So if you wanted to just start him, then you just need to get a backup center in this instance. But I was looking for a more starting caliber center so that Keita can be that power forward center off the bench. And so I kind of went through some options, but the market isn't terribly good right now. You could try and go and get Kristaps Porzingis back for cheap. I think he would be fine. I don't know how much he would play, which I think is the big risk. But if you can get him for cheap, go and get Kristaps Porzingis. He'd be a pretty easy guy that you can play with, and then you can rock with him. Another option is you can go and get Time Lord Robert Williams back for like a 2-year $25 million deal or 2-year $20 million, whatever the case may be. Just sign a trade for Robert Williams. I don't hate that. Again, he's more of a backup center in my eyes, but I think between, like, if you gave him 25 minutes and you gave Kata 25 minutes, I think it would work out. Or 24 minutes. Yeah, 24 minutes to each of them. I think it would work out fine at that center position. But if you can't get anybody via sign and trade or via just signing them, I think the option should be to try and go and get Nicholas Claxton, and I think that's the option I ended up going with. So to get Nicholas Claxton is pretty simple. You just trade Luka Garza and your pick this year, which I believe is like pick 29 or something like that, for Nicholas Claxton. The Nets just need more first-round picks. They could always use more picks. They can use picks so that they can trade up and get the star that they've been looking for the past couple years. And I like this trade you get off of Luka Garza, who wasn't bad for them. He was solid for them. But if you need to get an upgrade, and Nicholas Claxton is the perfect upgrade in my eyes. Also, being a good passer in Joe Mazzulla's offense that emphasizes ball movement and cutting and handoffs, things like that, I think that'd be perfect for this Celtics team. And the final thing is just signing a backup point guard for this team. And there's a couple of options that are in free agency right now that you may need to sign and trade for, but a lot of them you should be able to just sign. Guys like Aaron Holiday, Bradley Beal, Brandon Williams. I didn't hate any of them. Aaron Holiday I kind of like because he's a shooter, but I don't know if he's leaving the Rockets or anything. But the guy I ended up going with is Russell Westbrook from the Sacramento Kings. I do think Westbrook could be that perfect backup point guard for this team. He's got a ton of veteran experience, and he's a player that can play downhill, and he can pass the ball and get them those open threes. And he just plays with an energy and with a fierceness that I think this Celtics team doesn't desperately need, but that they need. And other than that, that's about it. You maintain the rest of the team because you can't really trade too much of them. They're all on pretty decent contracts already. If you wanted to trade Hauser and kind of get off that contract, you could, but I like him because he's one of their few, like, really good knockdown shooters, pure shooters, I mean. And I think he still fits this team very well in that instance. So the team looks something like this now. Now, if you wanted to start Westbrook or whatever point guard you sign, you can, but I have Peyton Pritchard starting at point guard with Tyler Hero, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and Nicholas Claxton. And then off the bench, you have that point guard, whether it's Pritchard or Westbrook, Sam Hauser, Jordan Walsh, Hugo Gonzalez, and then Kata, and then maybe Ron Harper Jr. minutes as well. So I like this team. I kind of like the slight rebuilding we did. Obviously, Hero's going to be a bit of an offensive upgrade. You're going to lose some defense with this team, so that's why you may want to start either Ron Harper at point guard or Russell Westbrook, because he's still a pretty solid defender. But I think between Brown, Tatum, and Claxton, you should still be able to maintain that defense. And if you wanted to, you could always start Hero at point guard and start Jordan Walsh, or if you wanted more shooting, start Hauser or Hugo Gonzalez if you want a little bit of both. Whatever the case may be, this is what the team will look like. You have a ton of versatility for Joe Mazzulla, which I know he's going to love. And again, you can tweak around and move around the offense however you see fit. Now, obviously, the elephant in the room that I did not address is the Jaylen Brown trade rumors, possibilities of him getting moved for a guy like Giannis. I did not make that trade this time because I don't care for it. I honestly don't. I don't mind the idea of it, but I honestly would rather, if I was the Celtics, I would rather maintain with Jaylen Brown for a couple more years with Jason Tatum, because Giannis' injury history has not been good the last couple years, and I don't know how to explain it. It's not that I don't trust Giannis. I love Giannis to death, but I think that there's better fits, and if I was moving Jaylen Brown, I would rather move him for cheaper contracts so that I could develop a more depth-driven team, if that makes sense. But let me know what you think down below. Do you think the Celtics should trade Jaylen Brown? Do you think they should go and get Giannis? Do you think they should just keep this team, make small changes, and just move on with their lives? What do you know? What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. And make sure to stay tuned for more content. And until then, y'all, peace.